To learn to live the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. It's all free. So don't let the sun fool you. It's a beautiful sunny day as far as visually looking at it. What you can't feel or see is the cold and the wind. It was really windy last night. I mean, wow. And the little tiny house, I tell you, so proud of it. Holds up. You don't even feel the wind. I know when I lived in a mobile home as a child, I mean, we lived in a child, it'd get windy and I could feel the house, you know, the trailer move a little bit, but I don't feel that thing moving at all. Well, it was so cold that it took these metal sheets that I had laying on top of the firewood, blew them off. I had quite a bit of firewood on top of that, and it just knocked it all off, so all the sheets are blown everywhere. I'm glad that didn't fly off and hit the house. I don't know how fast that wind got, but boy, it was rough. So this morning, it's below freezing, so I've been going out and getting the chickens fresh water every couple hours. And of course the wind just sucks the heat out of you. I had been running the wood stove twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. I started it this morning. It was 71 degrees in the house, so I went ahead and started it. I would imagine I'll have to start it again probably mid-afternoon. It's that cold out. If it continues to be this temperature, it's supposed to warm up a little bit, but I guess it's the wind just kind of sucks the heat out. Water hasn't froze. It's 40 degrees inside the IBC tank housing. It's kind of one of those days where you just want to lock yourself in the house and do nothing and sit by the fire and drink coffee. But I will tell you, living in a tiny house, you know, there's not a lot of entertainment. But this also applies to people who live in full-size houses that do have entertainment. I think one of the problems with America is we've just gotten where we're indoors all the time. But coming outside on these kind of days, I think is absolutely vitally important. You lock yourself up in the house and you'll go stir crazy. Your mental health declines pretty quickly. And the problem with that is you keep doing more and more while you're locked in the house to hurt your mental health. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, you'll start watching TV. Probably end up in watching the news or something that ticks you off, and so now you're frustrated, or YouTube, or you know, reading the news. So now you're frustrated, so your mental health is now even poorer than it was. Then you go and eat some junk food. Comfort food is what they call it. Processed food. And so then your mental health gets even worse because processed food declines mental health. They're proving this more and more every day. One of the things that I have a problem with is on these cold days, our kitchen is outside. So we have to go outside, cook our food. Well, I'll tell you, it sure be a lot easier just to make a peanut butter sandwich than to go outside and make eggs. But eggs are becoming a superfood. I've talked about this in previous videos. They're now claiming that eggs got all the nutrients that you need. Eat a bunch of carbohydrates with bread and sugars and the peanut butter. I'm sure there's a ton of sugar in it. Who knows what's in peanut butter? I've never looked at the ingredients. I know it's good for you. I mean, the peanuts are good for you, but it's processed food. That's going to make you feel worse. And then, of course, if you get just completely stir crazy, out of your mind, wanting to go do something, then you get in a vehicle. Well, that's never a good idea. Getting in the vehicle. Road rage, first thing. That's the first thing that's going to happen. Now you're mad. Mental health even gets worse. Then you, of course, got to fill up the gas tank. And spending money is a mental health issue. It makes you feel good initially when you're spending money, but when you're spending money on things you don't want to spend it on, like gas, that eventually gives you poor mental health. The guilt of buying things, even though it makes you feel good, oh, look at this, I just spent a bunch of money, I'm feeling good, but the guilt is actually pretty bad for you. So now you're spending money that you don't have to make yourself feel better, which is going to make you feel worse. It's an endless cycle of winter blues, cabin fever. And everybody does it because they don't want to come outside. It's just too cold. Now, the same thing happens in the summer, I suppose. You stay inside in the air conditioner, but I don't even come close to experiencing any kind of summertime blues because last year we didn't even have an air conditioner. So sometimes it was better to come outside. It was cooler sitting underneath the trees. One of the things that I feel like, and Carolyn agrees, this is the one she suggested actually, is go for a walk. When we were nomads, sitting in that camper, it's kind of it's turned into a garage now and a straw storage area. The tarp is ripped. So, but that was on the back of the truck, and you know, rainy days and cold days, it was just miserable in that place. I mean, it was tight, just two people laying on a bed watching Netflix. It just drove you insane. We would force ourselves every day to go for a walk. It helped. Now we have our woods that we can go walking in. We do this regularly, and I've got a little path cut out this year, so it makes it easier to go for a walk. And in the fall time, it's not quite as dangerous, or it's not dangerous at all, I guess, because there's no ticks and snakes out. So definitely worth coming out and spending time out here. One of the things that I enjoy doing, but I hate thinking about it, is letting the chickens out. I let the chickens out every day. I mean, I dread it the whole time. I'm like, man, I don't want to go out and chase them around and just, it's so frustrating. But then I let them out and I feed them a little bit of corn, and then they act like pets. And I suspect that's why people have pets, is it makes them feel better. You know, obviously a pet makes you feel good. Come up and put their head on your lap and you pet them and you feel better. Well, the chickens kind of do the same thing for me, except my pets give me food, so you can't beat that. So I give them some corn, let them fatten up for the winter so they stay warm in the coop. But then they take on these personalities, and you know, you got Rue, who's trying to learn how to dominate the roost, and Frenchie won't let him, so they have their personalities. And the Americanas are trying to, I showed you a video on this yesterday, so you may want to go check that out. I'll put a link at that video at the end of this video, right here on the screen, and you'll see the personalities come through. The Americanas are all flighty and trying to run away, and then you got the older hens, and they're all relaxed and mature and calm. And it's just a lot of fun to come out and do it once I'm out here doing it. But trying to convince myself to do it, I just don't want to, especially on a day like this. But when I'm done with it, I feel better, got more energy. I've let out some toxins, you know, running around chasing those guys. Carolyn's been, and I do a lot of cleanup activities on the property in the fall time. Right now, she's been cleaning up this pile here of scrap metal. We're going to try to get this to the scrap house. I apologize for the wind. I do have a windsock on my mic, so hopefully that's helping. But we're going to get this to the scrap yard. Our neighbor sometimes takes scrap metal up the hill, so I may see if he wants some of this, and I'll just take it up to him. And then of course she comes out every day and tries to rake up some of the yard. She's been cleaning this up too. This has been a big deal over here. I'll show you in just a minute. This is one of the last things that she wants to get cleaned up. So we basically have a yard now. We had a building here. Well, you can still see the building, but it was all covered up in weeds, and so she's been, it has fallen down over the years. Hard telling when this fell down, probably in the 60s. So she's been cleaning this up, raking it, you know, cutting up the little saplings. Our little sling blade sickle bar thing has broke, so we gotta get a new one of those. And then once this is cleaned up, that's all we got to clean up on the main piece of property. And as you know, I've been working over here trying to clean up this area so the corn garden can get plenty of sunlight. I come out here at least every third day. Of course, I got to run the chainsaw, and I don't want to stress my back. You know, I'm starting to get to the age where if I run the chainsaw too much, then my back starts to hurt. But over here you can see that I've cleaned up, I say clean up, I've knocked all the trees down. Now I just got to clean up the branches. The branches sawed off the cedar trees, and I can drag them back down in the woods and store them. And then I got to cut up these logs here, these trees here, making the logs. You know, this tree here, I was thinking about this. Somebody criticized me, oh, you don't want to keep that. That's not worth the work. This tree right here, see how big that is? It's probably a week's worth of firewood for our little tiny house. I mean, imagine that. That's incredible, isn't it? 5 days or something like that. You figure I'm only using 2 logs every 12 hours. I'm not a doctor. I can't speak for everybody, but I know that our diet that we've been on here lately and our exercise program, I've never felt better. You know, we're eating a pretty carnivorous diet. I mean, we still have some processed foods, noodles, rice. Rice isn't processed, but lots of carbohydrates. But they are better. Rice is better than pasta. Trying to get all this out of our, all that junk processed food out of our diet. And just eating more carnivorous green diet, carnivorous and then green vegetables. And then our exercise. As I've told you many times before, Carolyn has social anxiety, which is a mental illness like depression. But now that she's been out here exercising every day, eating a more carnivorous diet, her mental health has just been spectacular. I can't remember the last time she had an anxiety attack. So I think all this activity has been really good for her. One of the other things I want to point out is you would think we would go stir crazy on this property. You would think that we would want to go out and do something, but we can stay here months at a time. During the pandemic, we did stay here a couple months, but we only go shopping once a month. I know that there's been a few movies, for example, that I wanted to go see. The next one's coming out is the new Matrix. I'd love to go to see that, but we won't. We'll wait until it comes out on video or something. Rent it from Netflix or Amazon or wherever. And I'm quite content with that. Sometimes I think, man, we should just get in a vehicle and go somewhere. But this place provides us with all the mental health and activities and happiness that we, I guess, need. Life can't be better. So again, if you can click onto that video, nice introduction to all the chickens, I'd really appreciate it. It helps out the algorithm to know that you like this video, and you'll learn about my chickens. And maybe you'll get some, so you can have better mental health. I hope I can inspire you to feel good about yourself so you can live your dream. Thanks for watching.